My name is Elena Whitmore. I'm 36 years old, and for most of my adult life, I believed love was something you endured rather than demanded. I thought it was built on tolerance, on patience, on swallowing discomfort, on not making a big deal out of things that could be explained away if you tried hard enough. I told myself that being understanding meant being mature, that choosing peace meant choosing silence. I learned that lesson early, and I carried it with me for years without questioning it. I met Ryan Caldwell 8 years ago at a friend's housewarming party. He wasn't magnetic or overwhelming. He didn't sweep me off my feet. What he offered was steadiness, predictability. He remembered birthdays. He answered texts on time. He talked about the future like it was a shared project instead of a dream. After a series of intense, short-lived relationships, that felt safe. We weren't fireworks. We were spreadsheets and routines, shared calendars, grocery lists stuck to the fridge with magnets, predictable weekends and quiet Sunday mornings, and for a long time, I told myself that was better. That passion burned out, but structure lasted. We moved in together after a year. We split groceries evenly. We talked about retirement accounts and vacation days instead of fantasies. From the outside, we looked solid, mature, the kind of couple people assumed would last simply because we already had. Friends called us stable. Family said things like, "You found a good one," and I nodded along, even when something inside me felt slightly off, like a shoe that never quite fit but wasn't painful enough to remove. Looking back now, I understand the difference between stability and safety. At the time, I didn't. The dinner that changed everything was Ryan's company's annual event, one of those polished, soulless evenings held in a hotel ballroom with soft lighting and stiff chairs, the kind of night where everyone pretends the food isn't dry and the laughter isn't forced, where people dress carefully and speak in half-truths designed to impress. Ryan had insisted I come. He said appearances mattered, said it would look bad if he showed up alone, said couples were expected. So I put on a black dress I rarely wore, classic, unremarkable, safe. I styled my hair. I applied makeup carefully, reminding myself that supporting your partner sometimes meant enduring things you didn't enjoy. The night started fine. I smiled when appropriate. I nodded at the right moments. I listened. I made polite conversation about projects I didn't care about with people who didn't care about me. I laughed when others laughed, even when I didn't understand the joke. Ryan floated between groups, confident and relaxed. This was the version of himself he saved for rooms full of witnesses. Charming, easy, generous with laughter. He shook hands, clapped backs, leaned in when people spoke. Watching him, you'd think he was gracious, considerate, someone proud to have his partner beside him. Around 9 o'clock, the drinks started stacking up. Voices grew louder. The edges softened. Ryan's boss took over the table, telling stories that weren't funny but were laughed at anyway. Ryan laughed the hardest, louder than everyone else. I noticed it, filed it away like I always did. Then one of his coworkers made a comment about relationships, something lazy, half-joking, about how women always expect too much. A few people chuckled, the kind of laughter meant to move things along without confrontation. And that's when Ryan leaned back in his chair and said, loud enough for the entire table to hear, "Trust me, some of us learned to settle." The air shifted. It was subtle, but unmistakable. At first, I thought I'd misheard. I turned toward him, confused, my brain scrambling for context that didn't hurt. But he kept going. No woman would actually want her if they knew what they were getting. Someone inhaled sharply. Someone else suddenly found their glass fascinating. Ryan smiled, not embarrassed, not nervous, deliberate. Honestly, he added, waving his hand toward me like I was an object being appraised, she's small in every way that matters. He winked. A few people laughed, thin, uncomfortable sounds. His boss grinned openly, like this was entertainment, like this was acceptable. I felt heat crawl up my neck. I felt every eye on me, waiting, wondering what I'd do, whether I'd explode, cry, joke it away, or quietly disappear. Ryan watched me closely, curiosity flickering behind his eyes. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult him back. I didn't make a scene. I looked at him for a long moment and said one word. All right. I adjusted my watch. A nervous habit I've had since college. And then I stood up. I didn't rush. I didn't slam my chair. I didn't apologize. I walked out like I was leaving any other dinner. Behind me, Ryan called out, irritated, "Where are you going? Are you serious right now?" I didn't answer. In the car, I sat with my hands on the steering wheel and let myself breathe. Something settled inside me, not anger, not sadness, clarity, clean and quiet. At home, I poured a drink and sat in the dark, replaying not just the night but years of moments just like it, comments disguised as jokes, criticism framed as honesty, the way he always spoke just loudly enough to embarrass me, then acted surprised when I reacted. He came home after midnight, drunk and loud. "You're really mad about that?" he said, laughing. Everyone laughed. "You're so sensitive." I didn't argue. "I'm going to bed," I said. "You can take the couch." His face hardened. "You're pathetic," he snapped. "This is exactly what I meant." I closed the bedroom door behind me. And for the first time in 8 years, I slept knowing something had ended, even if neither of us had said it out loud yet. I woke up to sunlight I didn't want. My body felt normal. No shaking, no heaviness, no dramatic collapse. That scared me more than anything else. The calm. In the kitchen, the coffee maker clicked on at exactly 6:30 a.m., just like it always did. The smell filled the air like routine, trying to pull me back into denial. Ryan was already awake, not because he was thoughtful, not because he'd been lying there regretting what he said. He was awake because his shame never lasts longer than his sleep. He leaned against the counter in sweatpants, scrolling through his phone like nothing had happened. When he saw me, he smiled, easy, practiced. "Morning," he said brightly. "Want eggs? I can make eggs." I didn't answer. That made the smile slip, just slightly, like a mask shifting out of place. "Okay, come on," he sighed. "Are we still doing this?" I poured coffee slowly, watching the dark stream fill the mug. My hands weren't shaking. My voice wasn't either. "Still doing what?" "The attitude," he said, gesturing vaguely with his phone. "The silent treatment. It was a joke, Elena." I turned to face him. "No," I said, "it wasn't." He rolled his eyes, already impatient. "It was the wine. Everyone was drinking. You know how those dinners are." "You humiliated me," I said quietly. "In front of your boss. In front of strangers. In front of people you work with every day." "God," he said, jaw tightening. "You're making it sound so dramatic." "You made it dramatic," I replied. "You said it loud enough for half the table to hear." He stepped closer, lowering his voice like he was doing me a favor. "I didn't mean it like that." I looked at him and asked the one question that mattered more than peace. "So what did you mean?" He hesitated. Just a moment, but it was enough. "Well," he said finally, shrugging, "you're not exactly confident. You don't speak up. You just sit there and let things happen." My stomach tightened. "So that makes it okay to degrade me?" "I didn't degrade you," he scoffed. "I was being honest. You're too sensitive. You always have been." "Always." He crossed his arms, his voice shifting into that familiar tone of condescending concern. "I'm trying to make you stronger. You're lucky you have me." I laughed once, not because it was funny, but because it was unbelievable. "Lucky," I repeated. His eyes narrowed. "Don't start acting like you're above me now." That was the truth he'd never said out loud before. He believed I was beneath him. I set my coffee down carefully. "Ryan," I said, "I'm done." He blinked. "Done with what?" "With this. With the way you talk to me. With the way you look at me like I'm something you settled for." He laughed. Actually laughed. "No, you're not." "Yes," I said, "I am." The laughter drained from his face. "You won't leave," he said quietly. "You don't have the guts." I felt that calm again. Solid, certain. "Watch me." For a brief moment, I saw it in his eyes. Panic. Not because he loved me, but because he felt something slipping. Control always announced its loss before the heart ever did. Ryan recovered quickly. He always did. Shock flickered across his face for half a second, just long enough for me to notice, then vanished behind irritation, the expression he wore whenever he felt cornered. "So what?" he snapped. You're going to throw everything away because of one comment? He laughed sharply. One stupid comment at a dinner? I studied him then, really looked at him, the tight jaw, the restless hands, the certainty that I would back down like I always had. It wasn't one comment, I said quietly. It was 8 years. He scoffed. 8 years? He shook his head, like I'd insulted him. Wow, so now you're rewriting history. No, I said, I'm finally reading it correctly. That landed harder than I expected. Ryan leaned back, crossing his arms, eyes narrowing. You know what your problem is? He said. You want to be a victim. You love this. You love playing hurt so people feel sorry for you. My throat tightened. The words hit old bruises, familiar ones, but I refused to let him see it. I had spent too many years reacting to his cruelty. Tonight, I wasn't going to perform pain for him. I want respect, I said, and you don't have it for me. That stopped him. For a brief second, he looked offended, like I'd accused him of something impossible. Then his face hardened. You're not special, Elena, he said softly. Do you really think someone else is going to want you? You think you're a catch? The room seemed to drop in temperature. There it was, his favorite weapon, fear disguised as honesty, the suggestion that I should stay not because he loved me, but because no one else ever would. He stepped closer, too close. You should be careful, he murmured. You're not young forever, and you're not easy. I swallowed. Are you threatening me? He smiled, small, mean, familiar. I'm warning you. I looked at him for a long moment, feeling something strange settle into place, not fear, not anger. Clarity. All right, I said. The word made him flinch, as if it carried weight he hadn't anticipated. I walked past him and into the bedroom, closing the door behind me. I sat on the edge of the bed, hands shaking just slightly, then opened my laptop. Not because I wanted revenge. Because I wanted out. I typed divorce attorneys into the search bar, then stopped. The truth hit me with a hollow kind of realization. We weren't married. No vows, no legal promises, just 8 years, shared bills, and the illusion that time automatically meant commitment. That made everything both easier and harder. So I searched again. Lease rights when unmarried partner lives with you. Property ownership rights. How to remove boyfriend from house legally. My pulse quickened, not with panic, but momentum. Down the hall, Ryan's phone rang. His voice dropped into that softer tone, the wounded, reasonable one he used when he wanted allies. I didn't need to hear the name. His mother. As he spoke, painting himself as patient and me as unstable, something else clicked into place. Last night hadn't just humiliated me. It had exposed him. Men like Ryan didn't get cruel in public unless they felt safe, unless they believed their partner was too small to leave. I closed the laptop and stared at the wall. If he thinks I'm small, he hasn't been paying attention. By Monday morning, I stopped crying in the shower. That felt important. I went to work as usual. Meetings, emails, polite smiles. I'd always been good at compartmentalizing, at locking pain away until it could be dealt with properly. Ryan, meanwhile, played a different game. We'll talk tonight. You're overreacting. I told my mom. She agrees. You're stressed. I didn't reply. At 10:14 a.m., I stepped into a glass-walled office downtown and met Margaret Hale. Her handshake was firm. Her eyes missed nothing. I want him out of my house, I said. Clean, legal, fast. She nodded. Tell me what we're working with. The house was mine. My name alone on the deed. Mortgage, taxes, insurance, every document neatly accounted for. Savings and investments Ryan had never asked about because he'd assumed I didn't have them. Margaret smiled, efficient and unsentimental. This is straightforward. We can terminate cohabitation. 30 days. I want leverage. She nodded once. We can serve him at work. I thought of the way he'd smiled while humiliating me in front of his coworkers. Do it. At 3 to 22 pages. My phone rang. You had me served at my office, Ryan shouted. Everyone saw. Yes, I said calmly. That was intentional. You're trying to humiliate me. No, I'm ending this. The humiliation was your choice. You think you're powerful now? I think this is over, I replied. You have 30 days to move out. You can't do this to me. I already did. That night, he came home with his mother. She walked into my house like she owned it, judgment loaded, heels sharp on hardwood. You need to stop this nonsense, she snapped. You're hysterical. You're ruining his life over a joke. I'm correcting a mistake, I said. Her eyes narrowed. My son settled for you. Ryan said nothing. That silence told me everything. I own this house, I said evenly, and you're leaving tonight. They did. I slept 8 uninterrupted hours. The quiet that followed wasn't empty. It was surgical. Ryan moved his things in stiff, silent trips. No note, no apology. 2 weeks later, a message came from someone who had been at the dinner. Ryan had been seeing someone from work. Claire. Everything clicked into place. I forwarded it to Margaret. Ryan's lawyer called 2 days later. 10 days to vacate. No contest. When Ryan tried to apologize, I didn't let him. You loved what I provided, I said, not me. I walked away. 2 months later, the house stopped feeling haunted. I sold it, bought something lighter, mine. Work flourished, promotion, raise. Then came the call. Ryan and Claire were fired. I felt nothing. Anger requires investment. Months later, I met someone new, kind, quiet, secure. Ryan emailed me once more. I deleted it. And when I saw him again by chance, I didn't feel small. I felt free. Ryan thought I was small. He was wrong. I had only been with someone who needed me to believe that so he could feel bigger. Now I knew better. And I never shrank again.